Robert Falcon Scott was born in Plymouth. He discovered the Antarctic plateau and set a record while doing so, but he unfortunately died after reaching the South Pole in 1912, shortly after the Norwegian explorer rolled at Amundsen. There was some mix-up, and there has been various controversy over the years about whose fault that was, but essentially they ran out of supplies. Despite all that very sad story, he's remembered very well here in Plymouth. There's street names after him and various sort of pictures with details about his story in pubs and cafes. When you look at the Antarctic map, it actually looks, I think, a little bit like a dog turned to the side. And I think if you turn the blue part of this, or you have to turn the picture and then look at the blue part, that looks partly like the shape of the Antarctic. So I'm going to pretend it is. But looking at it from this view, you can see a head right at the bottom, which might be the head of one of the explorers. This one does look like it's got a bird on its head, but it would also, I suspect, represent some of the topography of the area. What a good word that is. Different aspects of the ice shelf. Slightly up and to the left of that, there's a female face that's lunging forward. Then above that looks a bit like, I think, a horse's head. And then either side of the horse's head, there's a face on the left-hand side, very bearded, and another face to the right-hand side, which looks more serene and peaceful. So there's that face at the bottom. So it looks like a face that's pointing left as we're looking at it, but with something that's looking right on top of their head. This could possibly correlate to where Princess Elizabeth Land is on the Antarctic map. And that contains, I think it's called Vostok, the coldest place on Earth. Looks a bit cold, doesn't he? So that means this part could possibly be Palmer Land, which contains a bright red rock near the Bertram Glacier, which is called Aldebaran Rock, named after a star that is the brightest in the constellation Taurus. There's also Pegasus Mountains, I think, nearby. Really interesting to name the territory after these sort of mythological stories and constellations. Here you can just see the land beneath it, so there's a definite shift. I guess it looks more lake-like beneath. So that could be the ice shelf. I think it's called Ron. Random fact, in 1998, an iceberg sheared off, larger than the size of Delaware. I think that looks a bit like an old man's face on the left-hand side. It could be Ellsworth Land and Marie Byrd Land. There's no land to the right of that, so this could be the sea. It's called the Weddell Sea, which would mean the previous one is the Amundsen Sea. Named after James Weddell, and the sea is apparently very treacherous due to ice. I think this face would represent the Ross Ice Shelf.